know you too. But that's supposed to me and you. Roope and Rumsey is their name. Chat about things from the latest game. Roope and Rumsey, oh Roope and Rumsey. It's time for Roope and Rumsey. The boys.
All right. Well, welcome to a special Saturday edition of the R&R Show. Sit back and relax and enjoy the best little sports show ever. I'm your host, Michael Roope, and this is my co-host, William Rumsey. Hello, William.
Howdy.
All right. We are joined today by former Bengal great and newly minted college football Hall of Famer, Mr. David Fulcher, a.k.a. Faux Rock. Thanks for joining us, David.
Oh, gentlemen, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And obviously this is Super Bowl weekend, and we're going to jump right in here, David. We'd like for you guys to share with our fans a little bit about your experience when you played the 49ers and the Bengals with, kind of leading up to the Super Bowl, what you kind of went through, and then obviously the big game.
Well, thank you guys for letting me come on and talk about it. It almost seemed like it was just yesterday because when the Super Bowl pops up, you kind of get that eerie feeling of, man, I played in this game and had a chance to win it and didn't happen. But, we actually, after we beat the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game here in Cincinnati, it was a 2-week layoff. They gave us 2 weeks to kind of heal and get relaxed. And we didn't go to Miami until probably say Thursday or Friday of the following week. Oh, not even Thursday, Friday, maybe Tuesday. So we didn't have a lot of time in Miami, but we had a lot of time off, and I think it actually hurt us.
Okay.
Because just we were on the road. Our offense was clicking, defense was playing Super Bowl type football, and when we got to Miami, it was kind of like I say a circus. Because everybody wanted to interview you. There was all kind of things that were going on. We really didn't do a lot of football leading up to the game. And then when that game came on, the night before, we had the big problem with one of our football players, Stanley Wilson, got in trouble with some drugs. It kind of took us out of our game plan. And the Super Bowl was on. We went to the stadium and we were prepared to play. And obviously we know the outcome, but it was a great experience to be in the league 3 years and play into the Super Bowl after your third year. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't trade him for nothing.
Yeah. Okay. So reading your Wikipedia page, it said that when you were standing in the hallway at Joe Robbie Stadium, when they announced your name, that was kind of the best moment of your NFL career. And you said you were worried about tripping over the turf. Can you kind of describe that moment? I mean, what is going through your mind?
It's funny, man, because, when we're out warming up and, just getting ourselves prepared, the normal routine that we do, it was, to me, it was just another football game, but it wasn't. It was the ultimate game. Everybody was watching. It was the Super Bowl, and we're playing against the 49ers. I'm talking Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Roger Craig, just the what the 49ers brought to the NFL football. This was special. And like I said, when I was in the tunnel and they decided they were going to call the defensive team out, I got a little nervous.
Kind of like we are today.
You got a little nervous, man. And I think nervousness is not really anything but just anxious. Mm. You're really anxious to get out there and play. And I was concerned that when they call my name, that when I run out, if I don't pick my legs up, I might trip and fall. So I wanted to make sure that when I ran out like high kneeing, like I was doing some high knees all the way to the 50-yard line, because I did not want to fall in front of millions of people watching me play. But once the game started, it was just another game, and we were out there to take care of business.
So you didn't know that the defense was going to be the ones that were being called out onto the field and introduced?
No, we did not. We got in the tunnel, and when we got in the tunnel, they said, "Hey, we're gonna call out defense." And I'm going, "Oh my gosh, they can call out defense." Are you kidding me? And I think I was, if I wasn't the last guy, I think I was second to last. And, even though all the guys went out, it still had that butterfly in my belly. And I had to make sure I picked my feet up. Yeah. So we were all surprised they were going to call defense.
Okay. So one guy you didn't mention when you're talking about Joe Montana, Roger Craig, Jerry Rice is John Taylor. So he was actually looking up, the 1986 draft. He was picked 2 spots ahead of you by the 49ers. When you were growing up, who was your favorite team?
Well, I'm a Los Angeles guy, so I always grew up with the Rams when they were in LA, the Raiders when they were in LA, basketball, the Lakers, the Dodgers. So I actually thought in the 86 draft that the Raiders were going to pick me because they had contacted me more than anybody else.
Okay.
And I think because I was a junior coming out of college, the NFL wasn't ready for that. Okay. So I think that first round pick wind up becoming a 3rd round pick because I was that experimental child going into the NFL.
Okay. So the reason I brought up John Taylor, obviously scored a touchdown on the last. Can you describe that play? Like, what kind of defense you were in, what you guys were looking for? Can you just take us from the, in the huddle to the end of that play?
Or did you think that they were going to definitely try to get it to Jerry Rice again since they had, kind of throughout the game?
Well, the defense that we called, we didn't go man-to-man. We went like a two soft zone. We're going to be soft. The safety's going to be in the 2 deep. Obviously, we're in the end zone. Keep the corners where they were. We took a linebacker out and brought in another DB, Barney Bussey. Yep. So Barney was on the inside linebacker. Ray Horton was our nickel back. He was in the game. And then we had the 2 safeties over the top, Ricky Dixon and myself, and Eric Thompson, the 2 corners, and Louis Billups. So we were in a 2 soft zone. Just basically, keep the ball in front of us. Don't give up anything crazy. And they actually had they were overloaded to the left, which obviously would be my right side. They were overloaded to the left with John Taylor. Jerry Rice came in motion towards Roger Craig. And when Jerry came in motion, I think Bussey or Horton moved from their zone. And then John Taylor just comes underneath. And I think I'm probably when the ball hit John Taylor's hand, I think I was probably 2 feet from the football. Now, what's funny is that was the same defense that we played in the AFC Championship game when Jim Kelly tried to throw the ball down the middle of the field and I intercepted in the end zone. Same with that defense. And then I moved before Jim threw the ball and I was sitting right where I needed to be. And I said to myself, if I would have moved 2 or 3 steps sooner, he'd have threw the ball right to me.
Right to you.
He never saw me. He never looked over at me. But I couldn't leave my zone because when you're playing zone, you have to stay in that zone. And when we were in the AFC Championship game, I had a lot of room to run around. There wasn't nobody on my left side. And in that game, there was a tight end on the left side, I believe.
So you got a sack out of Montana. It would have been nice to have that pick in the end zone too, huh?
Let me tell you, I think if I would have intercepted that ball, maybe MVP of the game probably would have been.
That's funny you say that because that was my next thing. I've beat on this drum in the past, and I believe in the heart of hearts, you would have at least been co-MVP, if not MVP of that Super Bowl, because you had the sack on Montana, you caused the fumble on Craig, and there was numerous other tackles on Craig at or behind the line of scrimmage that you made. You were playing lights out. I mean, you literally, with the offense kind of stagnant for the game, you were pretty much the the ringleader of the driving force to get to the Bengals to that point.
Yeah, if I can recall, I think I had 13 tackles in the game.
That's unbelievable.
A couple of tackles behind the line of scrimmage, a ball knocked down, a sack. So, I think it was when Tim Crumrye went down, something in Tim jumped into me. I felt like I was playing, 2.5 times my person, okay? And I don't know. It was funny because I've always felt when I played in any game that if I had to go one-on-one with somebody, whether it's blitzing or covering a tight end, that I was going to win. Mm-hmm. I always felt that I was going to win. And Dick LeBeau always told me that, our defense is built around you. Whatever you see, you go get it. But when you go get it, you have to get there. If we call a zone, and then we started the zone blitz, okay? Yeah. Pittsburgh, everybody says Pittsburgh and Troy Polamalu started the zone blitz. That's not true.
Yeah.
They both started that zone blitz right here in Cincinnati, and he used me because I had the body of a linebacker, the speed of a safety, and I could cover and I can move around in places. So he would put me in places to make plays. And he told me, if you make plays, you're gonna make me look good, and you're gonna look good too. If you don't make those plays, we're gonna be bad looking coaches. He just gave me the green light. I didn't have a lot of green light in the Super Bowl because our game plan was to try to keep the ball in front of us, but yet we were gonna still run the zone blitz. And David, if you got it, when I blitzed in Sac, Montana, I actually was not supposed to blitz. The only reason why I blitzed because the tight end, I was covering the tight end like I was going to play man-to-man with him. And for some reason, I saw him pointing at the tackle or the end that was on top of him. And I'm thinking they're probably going to run the football this way. So he's probably going to block down and somebody's going to pull. I said, well, I'm just going to sit up here and I'm going to take this shot. And let me tell you, when he went down and I come down off of his butt and there was nobody there to block me and all I could see was 16. And I think Joe saw me right at the last minute because he ducked.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm wondering if I would have hit him right in the middle of his back like I was taught to. Now, if he's out the game, now we got to deal with Steve Young and his feet. Well, we could have been damn if you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Now you touched on a little bit briefly there that Tim Crumry injury. When that injury happened, did it take the wind out of the defense's sails? I mean, you guys played lights out pretty much all game, but how did that injury affect you guys at that moment and then throughout the game?
Well, at that moment, I thought it kind of, took the wind out of us because we were, Timmy's our leader up front. Yeah. He's the guy that if you go in the back alley, you're going to come out with a fight and Timmy's got your back.
Yeah.
And he went down and we brought in David Grant. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. Yeah. David Grant played a hell of a football game up front. And it's almost like Timmy never left because David did a hell of a job. And all we wanted David to do was, if they ran the football, just hold the center up. Hold it up in the middle there so we can get to the football. And he did a great job of it because he made some tackles throughout that game. So yeah, I think the Timmy's injury, it didn't really affect us as much as Stanley Wilson not being there playing in that game on offense, because Stanley was a critical point of us running the football as well as a blocking back. And he made things happen, and we didn't have that throughout that game. So I think that's what stopped our offense. But defensively, man, we had the right game plan. I just think that last drive, I think we got complacent to the point where we were playing conservative, that prevent yourself from losing, but prevent yourself from winning.
Yeah.
We should have came after Joe like we did the whole time. But when we sat back there and let him just nickel and dime us, that hurt us.
Well, and I think I've read somewhere during that game, during the pregame, where you would, extended a hand to shake with Roger Craig, and he big timed you a little bit. And was he like a childhood hero of yours back in the day, being from San Fran? And did that moment maybe lead to inspire you to have several big plays on Roger?
Well, I would say, I wouldn't use the word big time me. I mean, he blew me off. He blew me off big time. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I wouldn't say the childhood. I just think the San Francisco 49ers, when you watch that football program, they were one of the best. And I was just excited to play against them. And I was, like I said, 23 years old, and I'm just, I'm like a kid in a candy store. And when I saw him, I just reached my hand out to say, hey, man, I appreciate your love. I love watching the way you play. And when I put my hand out to shake his hand, he just walked right by me like I wasn't even thinking, okay, well, if you don't want to shake my hand, then you're going to hear from me all night. And I think he just gave me the few that I wanted because I respected them, but I don't think they respected us.
Yeah.
And when they didn't respect us, the only way I thought that I could really show you what we have was than my presence on this football field. I'm coming after you. I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but I'm gonna hit you as hard as I can. I'm gonna try to play the best game that I can play. And then when Timmy went down, it was like an extra energy in me. And every time he had the ball in his hand, I was coming after him.
Well, it definitely gave you the edge. One last thing I wanted to talk about that Super Bowl is, leading up to the Super Bowl, the Chicago Bears had the shuffling crew video, and then I think you guys broke out your version of that, the Who Dey rap. Now, did you fancy yourself as a singer and potential singing career after the NFL?
No, I'll tell you this, man. I'm a backup. I'm in the back of the group, and I'm just dancing and moving. But that was, Mike Martin. Mike Martin was hurt that year, didn't get a chance to play in the Super Bowl. But Mike was an excellent singer. He could do it all, and he decided that why don't we put on this Who Dey rap, because we were always saying Who Dey at the stadium, and he put together this Who Dey. So him, Ira Hillary, a couple other guys were in the forefront, but the rest of us in the back just grooving with Mike and having some fun. And, I guess when you're winning, you could do those things. We weren't winning. That Who Dey rap would have never came out.
Yeah, I loved it. Go ahead.
So now to just kind of talk about your overall NFL career. Obviously, you were a 3-time Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro. I think you had 8 interceptions, first team All-Pro. I mean, that's a crazy good year. When you were growing up and in high school and in college, who did you mold your game after?
Wow. Now, what's funny is, and you guys may not know this, but when I was growing up, man, I was a wide receiver in high school. I actually picked Arizona State to go to Arizona State because they were the only school that wanted me to play wide receiver. Everybody else wanted me to play safety. I didn't want to play safety. I wanted to catch touchdowns. So I followed just the receivers who caught balls. Every wide out in the NFL, every wide out in college, I wanted to be that guy. I could jump. I could stand flat-footed underneath a basket and jump straight up in there and dunk a basketball. So I knew I can go up and get balls. That's how I played basketball. I played basketball as if I was intercepting balls. And then once I got the ball, turn around and put it up at the basket. That was my game. My game wasn't shooting outside. My game was stand underneath, rebound. And so that was the effect that I had when it came to wide receiver. But every wide receiver in the NFL, I didn't have a particular player. I just wanted to catch touchdowns. And then, unfortunate for me, or fortunate for me, when I went to college, Arizona State brought me in there a couple of weeks later to switch me to DB, and it made me upset because I wanted to catch touchdowns. So I didn't want to be a disruptive kid. I was just going to be a disruptive football player. Yeah. So that means everybody that caught the football was going to get hit by me.
Yeah.
And Arizona State took me off the field because in spring ball, and people were dropping like flies because I was hitting everybody because I was so upset from them not letting me play. And then I had to realize that those are my teammates. They didn't do anything to me. The school kind of changed their mind on me. And think about this. UCLA and USC, my hometown teams, wanted me to play defensive back. I didn't want to. And I wanted to play for those schools because that's my hometown. Mm-hmm. If I'd have played defensive back, I probably would have went to one of those schools instead of Arizona State. But it all turned out pretty good for me.
I was going to say, I think it worked out. The decision
yes.
was great.
Absolutely. Now, talking about hitting, what is the hardest hit that in your eyes that you've laid on somebody, and what's the hardest hit maybe that you've absorbed in your career?
Well, I tell you, the hardest hit I've absorbed in my career was first playoff game, Seattle Seahawks at home. John L. Williams, running back for the Seahawks, on the 2-yard line. I think we were up 21-0 or something like 21-3. And he dives into the end zone on the 1-yard line. And there was no way I could stop him. So I kind of just relaxed. And his helmet hit me right here in the chest, knocked me backwards. And I didn't know I was that flexible. my knees went all the way back. I hit my head on the ground, and I'm thinking, I felt my right knee pop. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to play. I think it was because I was so relaxed that I didn't do anything. I kind of stretched the ligament, but that was one of the hardest hits that I've ever taken.
I think that's a penalty in today's game.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how many. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's a penalty in today's game, him lowering his head on you.
Oh, let me tell you, it wasn't that he just lowered his head. I think he dove when he got on the goal line. Just caught me off balance, and because I was actually coming up to fill the hole, and when I got to the hole, he was already on the goal line. I'm thinking, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and bump off of him, and he scored a touchdown. But he dove and hit me right in the middle of the chest. And like I said, I came off the field with a bruised right knee that I thought that I may have tore something. But as far as hitting people, the best hit, I don't know, man. I've had so many of them. I think one of my best hits that I know they won't allow today, I was playing that zone blitz against Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh, Bubby Bristol, the quarterback. And I was going to pretend like I was blitzing, and then I backed off, and then I came back to the line of scrimmage. And just when I come to the line of scrimmage, the tackle had blocked down, and it left me wide open. And I saw Bubby's number 6, and I came in with a hanger or a forearm right to his neck, and flipped him right to the ground. Ball popped out. We got the ball. Bubby's a little dizzy. I mean, they would have fined me and probably threw me out the game for that today. But I think that was probably one of my hardest hits because it was Pittsburgh.
We wish you could have been
Pittsburgh, man. When it comes to Pittsburgh, man, I try to do damage.
Yeah,
there we go. You know, it's funny. I thought I heard you say if that was Ben Roethlisberger and he's so big, Ben probably would have just brushed that off. You gotta grab Ben like you're hugging your wife, man, and don't let him go.
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I said. I said I wish it was on Ben Roethlisberger. So,
oh man, I would love to play against Ben because Ben can't move.
Yeah,
no.
You get some of those guys in there trying to kill Big Ben and knock him out. No, he is not gonna outrun you. So you just need to slow down and come and gather yourself before you try to go in there and kill him. And then once you get him, then you try to get him down.
Yeah.
Now, David, talk to us a little bit about what it was like to play for Sam Weish and like the most iconic moment when he says, "You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati." What were you thinking, and what was the guys around you thinking when he unleashed that?
Let me tell you, man, that guy was the perfect coach. I mean, and we used to call him Wicky Wacky Sam. He would do things that was just, are you serious? Is that did he just really say that? Did he do that? But that was the kind of coach that he was. I mean, he let you know he didn't BS you, he didn't play around. But he just did. The NFL was not ready for Sam Weish. I'll put it that way. Stuff that we ran on offense, the kind of things that we did, the NFL wasn't ready for that. And and by way of him doing that, we were successful. And he, like I said, he was the guy when he got up there and said, "You don't live in Cincinnati, you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati." Who says that? What coach is going to take time, go from the sideline, go grab the mic, and tell people to stop doing stuff on the field?
Yeah,
nobody does that but Sam Weish. So yeah, he was a motivator. He was a really good motivator.
Absolutely. It definitely ignited the crowd that day.
Yes, he did.
Talk about one of your teammates, the Icky Shuffle. Did you guys ever join in on the sidelines?
We did. There was a few times at the SWAT team, Eric Thomas, Lewis Billis, Ricky Dixon, Solomon Wilcox, myself, Barney Bussey. We come around Icky after he throw the ball on the ground, and we get in there and try to do what he was doing. Even though we thought that was the ugliest dance ever. We backed him with it, and it was just having fun. We had a great football team that year, and when things were going well, he'd come to the sideline and shuffle because the league didn't want him to do it on the field, which didn't make sense. Everybody else dances. Why couldn't he dance? Yep. Like I said, that year, the NFL just wasn't ready for what Cincinnati had to bring out to it, but loved doing that dance with Icky.
So one more thing about the 1986 draft, number 1 overall pick, my boy in Tecmo Bowl, Mr. Bo Jackson.
Yes.
So what was it like game planning for him? And did you have any run-ins with him?
Let me tell you, man, I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but Bo Jackson, you can't game plan Bo Jackson. I mean, you really can't. Our goal was to try to keep Bo in between the tackles. Because if he got outside, man, with the power and the speed that he had, it was going to be hard for us to defend it. But I had my battles with Bo, and you know, I wasn't afraid. I mean, you know, you have it in the back of your mind that you've seen film on him and you see what he's done to people. The Bosworth run over in Seattle right there at the goal line. You know, the guy is just too strong. So you need more than one person to tackle Bo. And I used to always tell my teammates, if I hit Bo, y'all got to be at least a yard or two away, because the guy was so strong that he would break tackles like it wasn't nothing. So, you know, like I said, I had my conversations with him. I put him to the ground. There were times that I hit him and he got 2 or 3 yards afterwards, but he never really broke out of a tackle. But he was probably the strongest human, I didn't say football player, the strongest human to ever bring down. And he played football, but the dude was really, really good. And I really hated to see his career end the way it ended, because he probably would have finished the best, if not the best running back in history or yardage that ever been collected.
Did you guys know that was a pretty serious injury when he got hit by Kevin Walker?
You know, what's funny was no, not until I heard him say, I think I broke my hip.
Oh.
When he was laying down, and I looked at the hit. The hit wasn't really anything strong. It was just Kevin pulled him from behind. Bo Bo's body is moving faster than it's supposed to. Yeah. So his bottom half took off and the top half was still in Kevin's hand. And I think that's when because you could actually hear a pop when he was pulled down, and you could actually see where it looked like his back hip was further back than it was supposed to be when he was laying on the ground. So it looked like he was like off balance laying on the ground instead of flat on the ground. And we knew something was wrong then. And then when he tried to get up and he couldn't get up, we knew something was bad.
Now, one last thing about the NFL, coming out of college, as you kind of alluded to earlier, you were a receiver and you had number 7.
Yes.
So, you know, a lot of guys, when they get into the NFL, they try to buy their numbers. Did you ever approach Boomer and try to get that number 7 off of him?
You know, that's a good one, man, because that was my intentions. But I knew when I came in that the NFL wasn't letting defensive backs wear a single-digit number like they did in college.
Gotcha.
So I saved myself some money and some heartache.
There you
because go. I knew I couldn't ask him for it, and they weren't going to give that to me. When I came in, 33, and if they'd have gave me 7, I would have taken it. But they gave me 33, and I wasn't even thinking about that number. I was like, matter of fact, I didn't even know what number I was going to wear until I walked into my locker at Spinney Field, and we went to practice, and I saw 33 practice jersey.
Gotcha.
So kind of put a bow on your NFL career. Last year, you went back to play for the Raiders. Went back to your home state. What was it like playing for Al Davis?
I'm going to tell you, I loved it. I loved playing for the Raiders. I think I loved playing for the Raiders because they made us feel like that we were adults, if I can say that correctly. I felt like a professional football player playing for the Raiders. When I played for the Bengals, and this isn't a knock on the Bengals, but I always felt like we were in high school. You know, bed checks, you know, curfews, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that. When I played for the Raiders, we didn't have curfews. You know, Al Davis said, just win, baby. And what does it take for you to win? Well, if you need 3 hours sleep or you need 12 hours sleep, you get what you need to get for Sunday. Yeah. And I was thinking, there's no way. Our curfew in LA was like this. If we stayed in a hotel, which we all stayed in a hotel, but there was no curfew. What they did was they had like sandwiches, Big Macs or whatever, at one of the tables on the 2nd or 3rd floor, and then you just get a burger, and then they check off your name, and you go to bed or whatever you do. And I'm thinking, is this how it's been? Because we don't do this in Cincinnati, but it was always they trusted us enough to be professionals. And, you know, and guys were, I mean, there were guys who went out to clubs and did whatever, but when we had to come on Sunday to game time, guys, they were prepared. In Cincinnati, it was 8:00 curfew. You know, even when we went to the West Coast, and I'm from LA, so when we go down there to play the Raiders, we're 3 hours different. So bed check was 8:00. I'm like, 8:00, and I'm in my hometown. I want to see my family. And I couldn't. At 8:00, we were in a hotel. And But the Raiders, they had the mindset of, you know, and I hate to say it, they had that Pittsburgh Steeler mindset. You know, they were warriors, man. They were out to kill. They were dangerous. Yeah. And, you know, when you play on a football team like that, when the other guys have the same thought process like you know, and maybe even worse, you know, they were trying to, I mean, our offensive linemen, they were trying to cut people and knock the knees off. I mean, they were trying to beat you up. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, in Cincinnati, we played physical, but not this physical.
Yeah. So obviously this year you're going in the College Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations. I mean, that's obviously a big time honor. How were you notified? And then what, you know, when you got that call or however they did it, what was going through your mind?
Well, you know, it's funny. My wife and I, you know, we were sitting here watching TV one day and my phone rung and it was Reggie Williams, former linebacker for the Bengals. Yeah. And he asked me for my address. I'm not sure what he needed my address for, but he said he needed my address so that we can send something to you. I'm thinking him. I'm thinking, okay, maybe it has something to do with the Bengals, blah, blah, blah. Never even thought about anything. So one Saturday morning, UPS guy rings the doorbell. I go to the front door and it's a box. And I'm thinking, oh, what did my wife buy today? It's got to be something for her. So I go down and I get it. I bring it up. I give it to her. And I saw my name on it. I gave it to her to start opening. And she said, no, maybe you should open it. So when I noticed that she was getting her phone and I'm starting to open it. And when I open it, the football was in there that said that I had made the College Football Hall of Fame with my name on it. And I was like, man, this is finally real, because I think this is probably the 10th time that I heard that I was going to go into College Hall of Fame. And it finally happened. And excited. Yeah, but I almost felt like just another day, because I had been waiting and waiting and waiting. And after you wait for so long, you start not even thinking about it. And when it happened, I said, this must be real. And I knew it was real because right after I got the ball, one of the Arizona State beat writers who was part of the Hall of Fame voting called me and said, hey, I just want to congratulate you. And I'm thinking, well, I guess it is real. It is. Yeah.
Very well
that was really cool.
Yeah. So you obviously had a great college career, great junior year with 6 picks. What was the process like for you when you wanted to declare? You'd hit it on earlier that just wasn't common at that time. You know, did you think you were a first rounder? Kind of talk us through that. And then the combine was in its infancy stage. Kind of tell us what was going on with the combine at that time.
Well, for me, my last college football game was the Holiday Bowl in San Diego against Arkansas. And right after we lost that game, kid kicks a 55-yard field goal, and he was, you know, had a bad year, 7 for 20, and kicks this long field goal to beat us by a point. When I got in the locker room, my coach then, John Cooper, came up to me and said, hey, listen, we're going to next year definitely put you up for a Heisman Trophy candidate, but we want you to switch positions. And I said, well, what position you want me to play? He said, a middle linebacker. I said, you want me to play middle linebacker after being a 3-time All-American at safety to go to linebacker? He said, yeah, we need you to do that because we had a freshman, Darren Willis, who was pretty good. Darren was pretty good. And I played free safety in college, not strong. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, well, dude, why would I want to do that? Go to middle linebacker? Coach, I don't think that's a good idea. And he said, well, if you don't want to do that, then maybe you should transfer or leave. I said, wow. What? Right after the game. What? Are you serious? He goes, yeah, because we want to put Darren in at free. And if he could have came to me and said, play strong safety, maybe. But he said, go to linebacker. And I said, I can't do that. So, and this was December, probably before Christmas. And I talked to my parents. I said, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And then I looked at my grades. My grades weren't the best. So I would have to go, you know, get a 3.5 the next semester, 3.7 the next semester, you know, just to be back in school in the fall. And I'm thinking, listen, if I didn't get a 3.5 in the last 3 years, what makes you think I'm gonna get it in 3 months? So I got an agent, Bruce Allen, George Allen's son. He was my agent, Coach George Allen, his son. And I asked him, I said, what do you think? He said, well, I would rather you go back to school. This is why I like this guy, because he said, I think you should go back and finish. But if you don't want to come back and finish, then let's talk about, hiring me as an agent. But he never told me, sign the paper. He kept telling me, go back and finish school, go back and finish school. And then I just started thinking, I don't know if I want to do this. And if I go back to school, he wants me to play linebacker. And, I don't want to do that. So I petitioned. And unfortunately, the petition did not get accepted until 3 days before the draft. So combines, I didn't do any combine work.
So
I couldn't.
I was going to ask you, so if you didn't do any combine work, so there's no Tom Brady combine photos of you floating out there per se, is there?
I tell you, I was back in Arizona when it was doing combine. When they accepted me 3 days before the draft, here comes a handful of teams to work me out. Now, the problem that I had was if I didn't work out, I started gaining weight. So I was 218 on December the 18th. When they worked me out, I was 228. I gained 10 pounds, and not because I went and lifted weights. I got slower. I got a little chunkier. My times, everything. It was just really, really bad. And when I finished my combine workout, I asked my agent, Bruce, he said, well, first and foremost, he was trying to make me feel good because, well, David, you're a red-shirted junior, and there's only been one or two red-shirted juniors to ever come out. One went to the USFL, I think it was Herschel Walker, and then Bernie Kosar, I believe, came out as in a supplemental draft or something like that. He said, but the NFL doesn't take. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, then why am I even doing this when there's not a chance I go to the NFL? He said, well, you got the World League, you got, the USFL around another couple of years, Canada. So if it doesn't go to NFL, and I'm thinking, man, I didn't go college to go to Canada. I want to play some football. And so he said, well, we're gonna roll the dice and see what happens. And boy, when they accepted me, it was like a lot of weight off the shoulder, but I wasn't at my best. And then Giants had 4 picks in the second round. Raiders had 2 picks, I think, in the third round, and everybody else had regular picks in the first and second round. And he said, if you go first round, it'd be a miracle, just because of you being a junior, not because you're, in that draft. Think about this, guys. I believe in that draft there was only 2 3-time All-Americans in that draft.
Oh wow!
The number 1 pick, Bo Jackson, and David Fulcher.
Nice.
Yeah.
The only 2 in that draft were 3-time conference All-Americans. The pack, whatever it was, it was 3 of us. It was only 2 of us.
That's awesome.
So he thought that, just because of that, you might get in there. And when the first round went by, second round went by, shoot, I was ready to go to sleep. I think it's not going to happen. Get a phone call from the Raiders. Hey, at the 20, I think the Raiders had the pick right after the Bengals. If you're there, we're going to take you. 22nd pick or 23rd pick, Cincinnati Bengals pick David Fulcher. What? Yeah. I'm going to Cincinnati, and I heard Paul Brown and Sam Weiss ask me how would it be nice for me to be a Cincinnati Bengal, and I said, listen, I'm just thankful for the opportunity, and I can't get ready to work. That's awesome. That was it. That's how I got there.
Good deal. Hey, we're going to move. We asked for folks to submit questions.
Yeah, I know we're pressed on time right now, David, but we wanted to get just a couple fan questions in if we may.
All good.
So a gentleman by the name Chris Simon said he played at Fairfax High School against you.
Yes.
And he apparently played football and baseball. He played against Eric Davis as well. So that's obviously a big Cincinnati connection. How close in grades were you to Eric?
Eric and I are 2 years apart. When he was a senior in high school, I was a 10th grader.
Okay.
In high school back in California, we went 10, 11, 12.
Okay. And then when you guys came to Cincinnati together, you and Eric Davis, around the same time, you guys were big stars in Cincy. Were you guys friends? I know you played at the same stadium.
Oh yeah, we've always been friends. We're still friends to today. That never changed. It was funny because when Eric got drafted out of high school to the Reds, we also played high school and grew up together with Darryl Strawberry. So we all went to high school and played park ball together. and both of those guys come right out of high school and go play professional baseball. I got drafted to play baseball with Atlanta, but I wanted to go to college because I had a scholarship to play football at Arizona State. So I decided to play football instead of baseball. And baseball was our sport. Baseball was my game.
Okay.
I could play baseball. I was a catcher in high school, moved to first base my senior year. And I could really play some baseball. And but football, you know, my dad wanted me to play baseball. He wanted my brother to play baseball. My sister even played baseball.
Oh, wow.
So we were a baseball family. And my dad said, and I thought when I graduated from high school, I said, I'm a grown man now. I'm going to do what I want to do.
There you go.
And I wound up getting the scholarship to go to Arizona State. But I also wanted to play baseball at Arizona State. So I went out for the baseball team. My freshman year, Barry Bonds is on the team.
Oh, wow.
For the baseball team, and the football coaches came and got me off the field and said, "No, you're a football player. Let's go." That was my one. That was my one little good sign of playing baseball at Arizona State. I was there, and then I was out.
Yeah.
Well, and listen, speaking of Eric Davis, the 80s was a time of a lot of iconic posters, and Eric had the Magnum 44 poster, if you remember, but not to be outdone by your classmate, you broke out a little SWAT team poster with quite the menacing look there. Tell me how this came about, and who was the ringleader of this?
I don't know who started SWAT. I really don't. I think it had to be either Louis Billis or Eric Thomas. And because, we were knocking balls down, we were hitting people, and we were trying to figure out, okay, so if we're going to do this SWAT team poster, everybody's got to have some kind of, namesake in the SWAT team. So mine was, you notice my hat was backwards. I was like the sniper.
Yep.
Sitting on the roof with the gun in my hand and picking out a target. And so when we did that, we were like, man, is this going to blow up in our face? But if you look at that secondary, I think the 89 year, I think that we must have batted down 40 to 50 something balls and accepted so many footballs. So we just try to figure it out, call ourselves the SWAT team, man. And anybody come in our area, we're going to take them down.
I loved it. I had the poster in my room as a kid. One other question from one of our fans, Sean Messmore. He wanted to know what you think about the current state of the Bengals and where they're headed.
It's hard, man, because football is so different today. It's more about the money than it is, I think, the heart of playing it. I think guys do play the game because they love it, but when you're getting $40 million and $60 million signing bonuses, and you guys are probably aware of, the pitcher here in the Reds who just went to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
He's going to make $40 million just to pitch every 5 days. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, who turns that down? But see, that's the mindset of today. I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't want to play the game, but, the Bengals today, it's tough. It's tough, man, because the league is there's so much parity in the league now. There's not a bad team really in the league. Everybody's kind of equal, but then there's like 3 or 4 teams that are one step better than everybody else. And I thought when the Bengals drafted Joe Burrow that their next 8 picks or 5 picks would be offensive linemen.
Yep.
Because that's what I would have done.
Yep.
And I would do the same thing this year. Every pick on the Bengals team would be offensive linemen.
Agreed.
Because I think you got a quarterback that can get it done. I mean, I know he's going to come off that knee injury. Could be tough. But if he comes back off that knee injury and he can move like he did, you got to protect him. Yeah. If the Bengals have to go in a game where they win 42-40, I'm okay with that. But, when you have a quarterback with the capability that Joe Burrow brings to the table, you got to protect him. And I think it's a tough thing to watch. Because as a defensive back, I watch some of the safeties, I watch some of the things they do, and I go, what are you doing? I can still do that. No, I can't do that at 56. I thought I could, but I can't. But I just think that the state of the mind of the Bengals right now is, Mike has opened up his free agency pocket money to bring guys in. But the problem is because you got this reputation, some of those big time players won't come here. Mm-hmm. Some guys will go to San Diego for less money, but there's a good possibility they may go to the playoffs. Cincinnati, and then you got to factor the weather. You got to factor the town. You got to, because if it's ugly, why would you want to go to some place that's ugly? Even though you might be making a lot more money, but it's a little different today. Like I said, I think the mindset is there. I think they're making strides. I think they're making waves, but they've got to protect that franchise quarterback.
Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate that. So we wanted to talk, from my understanding, you're super passionate about your charity work. So you founded the group Mentoring Against Negative Actions, where you work with inmates to teach them life skills. Can you just talk about that? And then obviously we want to make a donation and then let folks know where they can donate as well. And we'll get that uploaded to our page and like to help you out.
Well, yeah. So many, many years ago, I was working with young men who were at a charter high school that this was their last opportunity to finish high school. And one of the kids got in trouble. The police came to the school, took him to the jail. And then I asked the superintendent at the time, could I take this young man's schoolwork into the jail so he could finish it? And he said, well, if you can get in there, power to you. And at the time I knew the sheriff. So I came in, they let me in there. I brought the kids homework. I sat in the Sally Port with the young man, probably about an hour, let him finish doing his work. And then I decided to leave when I was finished. And then I ran into the sheriff and he said, what are you doing here? I said, I just brought this young man's homework in here. I didn't want to leave him behind and want him to finish the school and didn't know how long he was going to be in there. So I wanted to do that. And he said, well, shoot, you need to put together a program that can help the guys in here because they don't have anything here for them to do, only GED. So I went back to the superintendent of the school and I said, we need to put together a program that we can go in there and help these young men make better choices. So we did that. We put it together, went in there, and that was over 20 years ago. And I personally keep doing it. And then my wife would always give me some helping hands every now and then. We decided that we were going to another jail, Butler County Jail here in Cincinnati, in Ohio. And she actually works with the females. Okay. So we've put together that program that we just want to mentor people who have been in trouble, bad actions, and give it to them. Put the onus back on them. Help them make better choices. And it's worked. I mean, it doesn't work for everybody, but it's working. And then we've connected with companies that would hire people who have a record. Depending on what the record is. I mean, I don't deal with people who are murderers or people who are sex offenders, but I deal with the, and I say the very, very low, somebody who's a drug dealer, somebody that's robbery, something that they can get back out in society and make something do with themselves. So the companies that I've talked to, over 50, 60 companies that will hire them, as long as they have openings for to hire them, if this is what these guys want. And like I said, once again, not everybody wants to come out and do the right thing. Some people want to come out and do what they used to do, maybe in a different setting. But there are people who want to, do the right thing for their family, for their family, the kids, for themselves. And when society tells them no, they're going to go back and do what they used to do.
Yeah.
So how do we keep people off the street? Let's get them working. Let's get them busy. And so we've been doing that for a very, very long time, man. And just, we enjoy what we do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's tough for those folks to find jobs and you give them the validation behind your name. I would imagine that's pretty good to have that for those folks.
And it is. But I think what's tough is, like I tell the guys and girls when they go out, I said, if you tell them David Fulcher sent you, then and you don't do what you're supposed to do, then you're messing up David Fulcher. And let me tell you, I got one good hit left in me, and I don't want to use it.
You look like you can still go out and play.
Absolutely.
This
David,
is all about golf now, man. I'm a golfer
now. Me too.
Now, where can people that are watching this donate?
Wow, let me see. I'm trying to figure out which one. We got so many of them. I'm looking at my wife back here. I'm just going to give you this one. You can actually donate at Fulcher 1044 Pro.
Okay.
Fulcher 1044 Pro at gmail.com. Fulcher 1044 Pro at gmail.com.
And we'll upload that to our segment that we're going to post here. Obviously, one last thing. Obviously, being Super Bowl weekend, we got one more question for you, David. A Super Bowl prediction for tomorrow.
Man, this is probably, if it wasn't Tom Brady, just because of what he does, I would definitely say the Chiefs. But it's kind of hard to bet against Tom. But I'm going to bet against Tom.
Oh, boy.
Because Kansas City just has too many weapons. I mean, when I say weapons, I mean, how many quarterbacks, throw underarm balls and sidearm balls and in the red zone, flipping the tight end the ball. And, people aren't expecting that. I'm going to say this because Eric Bieniemy's from California. I played against Eric in high school. The guy is a genius, and he doesn't have a job.
That's crazy.
But God, this is hard, man. This is one of those that I if I was betting, I wouldn't bet. Just because you asked me, I'm just going to say the defending Super Bowl champions will win it again. Yeah. But I wouldn't be shocked if Tom gets out there and does what he does, because it's almost like it's set up for Tom Brady to get this. It's set up for Tampa to play in Tampa.
Yeah.
Tom Brady to win this title, and probably going to ride off on that white horse and say, I'm done. Yeah. If he wins. Who knows? But I'm going to go with Case.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of thought maybe even the passing of the torch from the old face of the league to the new face of the league. I mean, this should be a ratings bonanza either way with those two, superstars going at it. But David, I know I can speak for William. Thank you for joining us today. We truly appreciate your time, and hopefully you're going to heal up soon too.
Yeah. So, hey, I tell you what, I'm better, man. I feel a little bit better now. Like I said, when I was coming down the steps, man, I didn't see my dog sitting in the sun and stepped right on her, and all I know was I heard a couple of bumps going down the step.
Boy.
But you can't keep the rock down, man. I'm still up.
That's right. David, thank you again.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Guys, take care, man.
Take care. Thanks.
Bye.